Nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Start off with citizen concerns. Moving on to the approval agenda. I'll move that. All right, motion by Raddick, second by Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Items 4 through 9 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Items 4, approval of the minutes of the May 7th, 2019 meeting. Number 5, approval of claims. Number 6, from Board Administration, approval of notice property sale for resolution for parcels listed, known as 608:612:620:628:640: for Tuesday, May 28th at 4:35 p.m. Item 7, from the County Assessor Chief Deputy, approve applications for impoundment structure property tax exemption. Item 8A, from Human Resources, approval memorandum of personnel transactions. And 8B, authorization to initiate hiring process. 9, from Secondary Roads, consideration of 4 utility permits for installations in county rights-of-way for Mid-American Energy. I'll move the consent agenda. Motion by Raddick, second by Taylor. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving pretty quick. We'll go on to item 11 from Human Resources, action for the approval of the service agreement between Woodbury County and TriStar Risk Enterprise Services.
Alyssa Thomas, Human Resources Director. This is a request to approve the contract between TriStar and Woodbury County. This is our third-party administrator, TPA. I did show Joshua the contract. He sent back a couple corrections, and then they sent it back. So this replaces Vericlaim, our property and casualty TPA.
I'll second it. Motion by Taylor, second by Raddick. Any other discussion on the item? Any highlights or?
No, I would say we did get three bids, and this was the lowest. The next lowest, they actually wanted $9,000 just to transfer the data. So I think we did a really good job with this vendor.
Sounds good. All right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Secondary Roads, award bid for project LBC 160 to Graves Construction. From last week, they were the low bidder, correct?
That is correct.
I will move it.
There was a $541 error on the Graves bid, but it wasn't, with a $17,000 difference, it didn't make enough difference. So I recommend award to Graves.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by Potabom. Any other discussion on the item? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a couple minutes. We'll recess Board of Supervisors meetings, convene Wolf Creek Drainage District Trustees meeting. Item 13, approval of the minutes of the May 7th, 2019 meeting. I'll second. Motion by Taylor, second by Raddick. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. We'll adjourn the Wolf Creek Drainage District Trustees meeting and continue Board of Supervisors meeting. And why does my wife keep calling me? Well, we're at 4:35. So item 10, public hearing and sale of property parcel 1720 Claridge Street. So we're now in the public hearing. All right, anything to be said for or against the sale? All right. Seeing nothing, I'll move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, passes 5-0, and now we're taking bids on that parcel.
Come up and identify yourself and
I'm Chris Oberg. I'm the agent for Blue Sky Rentals, and I'll put in the opening bid of 500.
Larry Johnson. I live just north of the place. It's 600, I guess.
It was Dodd, was it?
he went to 600. He went to 600.
I'll move the bid to 1,000.
All right. Channel 4 wanted it all? Oh, okay, all right, was. Oh, you could spare 1,001. All right, so seeing no other bidders, I'll move that the property be sold for 1,000 to Blue Sky Rentals LLC.
Second.
All right, motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Any other discussion on the item? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, passes 5-0. Moving on to item 14A. Receive the, and then just meet up with Heather there on that.
She'll take care of you.
Receive the zoning commission's recommendation for their 4/22/19 meeting to approve final plat.
Good evening, Supervisors. David Gleiser, Community Economic Development Director. This is a pretty straightforward, simple, minor subdivision. Dale and Sheila Gernhardt are proposing to subdivide 49.45 acres into 3 lots. They're known as GIS parcels 884721, 351002, and 88472130, 1001. This property is located in a portion of Section 21 in the Woodbury Township. It's in the Agricultural Estate Zoning District, and a portion of parcel 884721301001 is within the Zone A floodplain. That's in the southwest quarter. It's fairly insignificant. It wouldn't affect any proposed development. The current and proposed use of the property are allowed under our zoning ordinance. On April 8th, the City of Sioux City passed Resolution 2019-0300, approving the final plat as part of their extraterritorial review. On April 22nd, the Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of the final plat, and all required legal notifications were made, as well as all relevant agency stakeholders and property owners were noticed. As of the submission of this agenda item, May 7th, 2019, our office has not received any objections as it relates to the proposed plat. The staff recommendation is that the board receive the Zoning Commission's recommendation, and in a second motion to authorize approval of the final plat.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by Ung. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes 5-0. I'll move the approval of the Hillside Acres Edition minor subdivision plat.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by Potabom. Any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got a deal for me to sign, or was that, or he's going to bring it up? Yeah, okay. All right, okay, this is item 15, Project Recovery Iowa and Siouxland Mental Health. So they asked me to read a deal here. One second. So Siouxland Mental Health Center has been chosen as the designated agency to work with the Department of Human Services to reach out to individuals and businesses that have been affected by the recent flooding in the counties of Woodbury and Monona. This is known as Project Recovery Iowa. Volunteers from Siouxland Mental Health will be meeting with people in several Woodbury and Monona County communities in the next couple of weeks. I greatly appreciate your support in this effort. They will be wearing gray T-shirts that say Project Recovery Iowa. Siouxland Mental Health Center is designated community mental health center for Woodbury County, and they provide services to all ages with a holistic approach through psychiatry, therapy, community support services, integrated health home, friendship house, and Sioux Rivers Region Crisis and Stabilization Center. And that is all I know on that, so if you have any questions, I probably can't answer them. But that was the request. Moving on to reports on committee meetings. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick ones. So we had a kind of informal discussion today regarding the law enforcement center, and four kind of long and short. One is talking about educating the public of the problem, and so that the stakeholder meetings that we've had, we have minutes. Kenny Schmitz has done a great job of doing it individually, and then we'll compile those, share them with the rest of the board, as well as make those available publicly. Number two, we're going to discern what kind of intergovernmental cooperation might be realized that has an effect on the potential threshold for a non-issue, as well as just a good spirit of cooperation. Number three, we looked at the number compromised potentially being 400. That's somewhere between the middle of 440, which is fairly aggressive in bed space, and 330, which just gets us to maybe 100 federal or ICE or other prisoners. And so Larry Goldberg talked about the fact that we could build this so that it's expandable, and that you could put a pod or two that could help to be an additional should we bump up against that threshold. And so that's kind of a summation, unless Supervisor Owen thinks if there's anything to add to that. Or...
Well, Jeremy basically covered it.
And then the other one is, Rocky and I met out at Tri-View today. Siouxland Mental Health is looking to potentially put 5 or 6 folks out at Tri-View that would have a synergistic and cooperative relationship with the 4 that will be representative of our region, Rolling county employees there. We don't think it'll have an impact on cost, but recognize that we probably need some sort of MOU, similar to what we're doing with the Boost program. And so also heard from Veteran Affairs some of their desires for some modifications that Rocky and I have some recommendations for how they can handle, and Rocky will deliver. That's all I have.
Matthew.
I had a WCICC meeting last week. They're preparing for the Windows 7 end of life, so we're having to upgrade all the systems to Windows 10. Discussion on an intranet landing page just to more adequately safeguard county web traffic. So that's a good idea. There was some ongoing discussion about laptop replacements. That's going well for the most part. It was a little funny to hear that 2 of the laptops were, or not delivered. There's 2 boxes that came empty.
Probably got the
No
low bid.
laptop inside, so.
Probably got a low bid.
There was something said about the low bid that governments often work with, so can't hit home runs all the time, but we're going to get those laptops, so that's it.
Thank you. Marty?
We had the Conservation Board meeting, and they're just about done with the Dorothy Pico project. Dan was hoping that this week they'd be able to put together the final punch list to go through it, but it's a huge improvement, and he says as soon as they get done, they're going to figure out how much extra room they ended up with, but it really looks a lot nicer. That's all I have.
Rocky?
No, sir.
Oh, you don't want to finish Jeremy's thoughts over here?
I'm just going to say that he has a knack for covering just about every facet of it.
All right. So a security committee meeting, a lot of discussion on the parking spots in the alley. And Pat also said that somebody had asked about just having one spot for the chairman and then the other spot being reserved for dropping off.
Transport.
Yeah, transport. So,
Isn't that the vice chairman's spot now?
yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm not really gonna, I said we'd have to discuss it, you know. So,
I don't think we need two spots out there personally. I think it's so tight anyway. I don't know what you all think.
if you want to individually email your thoughts to me too, and that way, you know. Let's not do that.
It's almost open meeting.
I don't know what you all think. I never parked there. It's so tight.
Well, I watched transport coming in and out of there with, I've seen as many as 3 transport cars back there, and it is snug. But it's just a narrow alley, and I guess my first thoughts are, let's maintain safety and such for the transport sheriff's office.
So will we
Because of
start
this-
with one for the chairman, but then just get rid of the other one?
Well,
It
there was an issue a couple of weeks ago where one of the parking spots was given away without board knowledge or approval. I mean, for the day, it was one of those, we just need it for 10 minutes. Well, I've never seen anybody park anywhere for 10 minutes. And it turned into be more of a day than not, but regardless, that's the kind of things that need to stop. I mean, and the person was parked right pretty much smack dab in the middle. And regardless, nothing was mentioned to the board office about that. But like I said, I'm supportive of the transport officers having their best, having access to that alley for security reasons.
Which is the chairman's there.
In light of not having a sally port on the back of the building, it's at least a cove where they have access between the car and the back door to get in for minimum exposure to the inmates that they're moving, so.
What it boils down to is it is signed back there now for I think it is a chairperson, but then another supervisor. And so you would change that just with your understanding, but
Well, maybe even just authorized parking only or something.
It says chairman now, right?
It says chairman, then it says supervisor.
Right. Well, if it's always going to be the chairman, then,
Supervisors
yeah,
take
just
it
take
out.
the second one off.
Well,
Make it transport.
to make it easier to get in and out of there, I've seen the transport guys really struggle to get parked back in there. I would encourage whoever's chairman to park to the most southern end of that cove back there just for access for the transport guys.
I try, but my vehicle has like no turning radius. Like, I have to take a 29-point turn. Okay, so, sounds fair.
well, I mean, if that's what you're going to do, I will bring the parking plan back to you again for approval.
All right, we'll move on to citizen concerns. All right, they're all chomping to get up here. It's board concerns. Jeremy.
Just thoughts and prayers to Brian Denberg and second family friend that's been shot. Appreciate officers putting their lives on the line as the memorial this week.
Kind of a crazy deal, and of course, The Journal didn't disclose where the individual, I think, was working. He was actually working for a temp agency, but the individual was going to go through a background check to maybe be hired at our store. So it's kind of interesting that he was just in on Friday, and then that happened later that night. So seemed like the nicest guy in the world, and then turns out he had been involved in a drive-by shooting somewhere else and fled here. So.
Wow.
All right. Any other concerns? Or adjourned?